never seen before. Over the last year, we've been filming behind the scenes with unprecedented access.
That's where our laws are set, is the people that we're run by.
It's a year that's been one of the most dramatic in its recent history.
This is a travesty of our parliamentary proceedings.
The people sitting next to me have been in the House for like decades, just saying I've never seen anything like it.
In this episode, we uncover the hidden secrets of party control.
There's the whip. It's good, isn't it?
The tactical manoeuvring away from the public eye.
Basically, democracy lost and the government won.
And the human struggles of towing the party line.
Good boy.
All played out in the ancient palace, where new political fault lines threaten the old order.
It's got stuck. I can't believe it.
As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary, no. Division! Clear the lobby!
Clear the lobby!
A vote is underway. 500 division bells ring out across the Commons. Almost every day, MPs hurry to the chamber to vote in person, leaving meetings and speeches, food and drink abandoned as the House divides.
I left a nice hot cup of tea in my room to come down and vote.
Forward. Well, we've got 8 minutes, so it's pretty tight, but it's tight for everybody, and I'm fortunate enough that I've got a dog that moves pretty smartish.
Labour's Steve Rotherham has his office at the far end of the Commons estate, which gives him one of the longer journeys to the chamber.
No problems getting it. If I've got my cloak on, I could probably do it in about a Superman time of about 3.5 minutes. Division, clear the lobbies, and off we go.
For the Tory, Jacob Rees-Mogg, from his office inside the main 19th century palace, it's a cakewalk.
If the division bell goes, I can be down the chamber in under 2 minutes. I'm also not very energetic, so I don't like running. I like to walk at a steady pace.
It can be quite busy, and there are loads of different ways to get to where you need to get to, so you try and find the quickest way through.
As the clock runs down, MPs flood into 2 lobbies, lining each side of the chamber. One for no, and one for aye. In a ritual with its roots in the days of Henry VIII, MPs vote with their feet. For the most part, MPs vote as their party tells them.
Thomas Docherty.
Especially if they want promotion.
This is where more than one career in the last 180 years has crashed to a halt.
For the last 70 years, British politics has been dominated by 2 parties, Labour and the Conservatives. Party loyalty has dictated how the central laws of the land are made and unmade, and political careers determined.
The ayes to the right, 251. The noes to the left, 242.
But recently, the old order has come under threat. This Parliament has already seen a record number of MPs rebel against their own parties. One leading member of what's called the Awkward Squad is the Tory MP, Peter Bone. Since the last election, he's voted against the government nearly 150 times.
When there's a division bell rings in the House of Commons, there are 600 MPs who are going to vote. Most MPs have no idea what's being debated in the House of Commons, and they turn up and the whips tell them which lobby to go for.
The whips are shadowy teams of MPs who enforce party discipline. They call MPs like Peter Bone a whip's nightmare.
The whips, quite regularly, some of them swear at me. But if they swear at you, then, hang on a minute, why don't they want me for another vote later on?
The whip's job is to keep their MPs united behind the party leader and quell rebellions by the independent-minded.
Food labelling. Now, this is our policy, so if a vote is called, we expect that everybody will be able to participate in that, and if necessary, we'll put tellers in.
The whip's motto is that whipping, like stripping, should be done in private. But the Labour Chief Whip, Rosie Winterton, has invited us into her lair.
So this is the Opposition Chief Whip's office, and there's the whip. It's good, isn't it? I only use it on the members when they're especially well behaved. I haven't actually murdered anybody yet. There are no thumb screws in here, as you will have probably noticed. Well, I'll get them out later if you want. So, the popular image is of rather a sinister operation, whereas actually what we do like to do is to convince people because we think the arguments are right.
Bearing his wand of office, a senior Tory whip, Desmond Swayne MP, heads into the Commons chamber.
I have a message from Her Majesty the Queen.
He's performing one of the arcane rituals that litters the world of the whips. Part of his duty is to act as Her Majesty's mole in the Commons.
I'm reporting to the House a message from Her Majesty the Queen, and then I retreat, walking backwards.
Are you good at that?
You'll have to wait and see.
By ancient tradition, he reverses out of the chamber as a royal messenger. The more modern means of influencing their MPs is the fact that each party's whips decide who gets which room in the House.
There was once accommodation whip. It's not a job I'd wish on anyone.
Why not?
Well, it involves exactly that. You're a bit of an estate agent to an extent. You take someone up to this ghastly room and say, well, take some of the furniture out. It'll look bigger, or.
The whips pride themselves on knowing everything about their MPs. And until recently, the Tory whips kept a dirt book. It contains sensitive information on their members, which could be used to persuade them to vote the right way.
The notion that whipping involves torture and all sorts of sinister dark arts may have been true in the deep, distant past, but it certainly isn't true these days.
In the past, the Chief Whip would say, I really don't care about the policy, just get in and do as you're told. Now, people will come and say, Don, why are we voting this way? I have to know why. I have to have negotiated it in advance to make sure that when they hear what it is, they'll say, that's fine, I'm happy to go that way.
Jenny Willett is a Liberal Democrat whip and one of a new breed of party police. She's also a mother of two.
Would I go to nursery?
Where?
No, why do I go?
Why? Because it's boring in my office when I'm working, isn't it?
To get me bored.
No. Sometimes. There's definitely an overlap between being a parent and being a whip, I suspect. Having to persuade someone who doesn't want to do something of exactly the best way to do it. And generally with my colleagues, I have found that I can use much more of the carrot than the stick.
Westminster.
She drops her children in the recently established Commons nursery
How are you?
every day that she goes to her office.
Am I a persuasive person? I guess I must be. I'm not sure that I conform to the popular image of an MP either, let alone the popular image of a whip.
Lib Dem MPs must apply to Jenny Willett if they want to absent themselves from a major vote.
I do get people sidling up to me if I'm downstairs or in the voting lobby. I do get people sidling up to me and saying, Jenny, please. I try very, very hard to make sure that I'm completely even-handed. And there are some things that I will prioritise. I think if someone has a medical appointment, or if someone wants to go and see their child in a Christmas play, that's the sort of thing you never get to do twice. So that's kind of important.
Internal tensions within the coalition are a symptom of a wider fracturing across the traditional party system. Many MPs are becoming less fearful of the power of the whips and more independent-minded.
I can't imagine a more difficult time for whips officers of both the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives than the next few months as we lead up to a general election, because our job is to keep the show on the road. The rest of the party are out there trying to defeat each other.
David Cameron and his whips must juggle working with their Lib Dem coalition partners on the one hand and with the awkward squad of Tory Eurosceptics on the other. The battle to project an image of party unity becomes increasingly tricky.
Is it easy? No. Is it getting more difficult? Yes. Why is that? Well, I think a lot of members of Parliament quite rightly see that their authority comes from the people who elect them, and they want to stand up for that. You have to try and get this balance, that politics is a combination. It's a team enterprise. I think it's just something we have to work harder at trying to understand and manage.
It's spring 2014, and a year to go until Parliament is dissolved for the general election. Across Westminster,